Okay, great. So maybe we can just review what we talked about last week, and then we can just go into the issues again. Okay. So we already started talking. Is that good for you guys, Griff?
Yep.
I think we lost Griff.
Yeah, my internet seems to be coming out, but mostly in. But I started a live stream too.
Okay, perfect. Great. Okay, so just on the issues then, we talked about creating a separate sprint for the UI UX stuff, and I think I just started to. We've basically put that together now. So we're going to have the Nepalis, Marco, George, Danny, Josh, Griff, myself. Just kind of get that started, and as Griff said, we're going to focus on the donation side, which is already kind of outlined. So we're just having a kickoff meeting. Danny, I talked to Marco, so we're going to have a kickoff meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time, which is 7 a.m. Pacific or 4 p.m. CEST. So that's Tuesday. And of course, anybody's welcome to join that meeting. And I think, if you guys agree, I think it might be good to keep those sprints separate from this one, because this one is really more like weekly maintenance stuff, right? Whereas this other one is really like trying to really create a better user experience. And just one of the things we discussed just before this call with Danny is that there may be even a bigger issue here, which is that the website and the Dapp new UI, it may be good to kind of think about synchronizing that look and feel to some extent. So we kind of have this sort of common kind of look and feel for Giveth.
Yeah,
But I don't know, Danny, if you just wanted to mention, like we talked about that briefly, but.
Yeah, I kind of include the wiki in that just a little bit too. I feel like having a little bit more seamless integration and flow between our website and the purpose of that, our wiki and what's found there, and then the Dapp itself, for all three of those to have a consistent theme and feel so that it's clear when you're in which, and that they're all working together, that these are Giveth. That's our our presentation of who we are, what we're working on, and how to get involved. I feel like that's a vision, that's a retreat subject, by the way.
Yeah, Kai is responsible for. It's a challenge because everything's still in flux. Hopefully we would do a whole new UI UX.
Yeah.
For definitely retreating to the current Dapp version. I don't know, but it's really Kai's domain. They have to talk to him.
Yeah.
Totally. And I'm thinking future development while we're looking at revamping our UI UX for the Dapp. We want to also be thinking about how it relates to the web and the wiki, and keeping those. There's a future convergence point where, as we redo all three of those, we have some consistent aspects and elements across all three.
Okay. Okay, and then the other thing we talked about was just creating a separate sprint just on the milestones. At this point, we don't have the Ukrainians involved, but I'm talking to them, and I think I'll just put that on hold. RJ will give us an update on how things went this past week, because I did talk to RJ this week, and he is working on. He was just working on trying to wrap up all the issues around the milestones, sort of the big asks that you had put together, Griff. I think we lost Griff again.
Does he have a date, Michael, as to when he wants to have that done and call it finished from his perspective?
I believe it's this week, to be honest, but we'll find out in about 15.
That's what I thought.
So he's going to join the call in
Okay.
15 minutes, and we can just get a check-in from him.
Okay.
I think he's, as far as I'm aware, he's committed to wrapping up those issues, and the bridge, I believe, the bridge and all that is fixed. Okay, and then on the cleanup of the Gitcoin bounties, I've done some on that, but I need to do more.
What are you cleaning up on the bounties?
Well, I actually don't think it's a big deal. I just want to just make sure that that there's nothing outstanding, no outstanding comments or issues that have been left unaddressed. But I'm in there now. It doesn't seem to be a huge problem, but I think we have to fix that. And also, we need a better process for responding to questions in a timely manner, I think, when they come up. Then just I only put this to focus on key Dapp issues. I think there was just one issue. I don't know, George, if you had a chance. We'll get to this anyways, but it was just this. I mean, this is just the information from last week, but it was I think it was issue 727. Making a milestone for the payments.
Oh yeah.
Michael, I can't
Still
hear
haven't
you
done
very
it.
well. There's a lot of noise over that.
Okay. I'm gonna put my headphones on.
Yeah, so the noise may be coming from me too, so I'll try to mute myself when I'm not speaking.
Yeah, it definitely is. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Michael, is there another point on the Gitcoin?
No, no.
No, we were talking about my milestone that I need to make, and yeah, I haven't done that yet.
Okay. So
I'll
we'll
get
leave
to it,
that.
sorry.
So just take notes. Issue 727 is the issue.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just on finding additional talent. So that was something else we discussed. So I have reached out to the Nepalis, both for the UNICEF grant that we're going to do related to the UI UX. Again, we just confirmed they're on board. I've created a separate Google Doc for that, just like we did with Libre. And they've identified a charitable organization, but also I wanted to bring them into the Giveth Dapp team now, so that we can just start to in Riot, so they can get familiar with how Giveth works, and to assign them, one or two GitHub issues, so that they can just get familiar with everything. So if we do get that grant, then they'll already be quite up to speed, and we do need assistance with that. Related to that, like I just mentioned, we're going to be talking to Marco about also the user interface stuff, so we can start to address some of those issues in a kind of more holistic and coherent way. And Josh recommends we just get Marco involved first, and then from there we pull in Sergio. And then also, as I mentioned, I've been talking to a fellow in Montreal named Cheyenne. I don't know exactly how good he is, but I believe he's very, very talented. It's I'll fix the spelling. And then lastly, we had in the past engaged some developers in Ukraine who are also very talented and have worked on a very similar charitable Dapp to Giveth, which was called ACT, I believe, but with some folks in Ireland. So I've re-engaged them as well. So trying to just build out a few some additional talent that we can engage, so we have more people to help us to deal with these issues.
Yeah, so also in the same subject, the guy who will working, our
Oh
leader
yeah,
will be
sorry.
appointing to work full time.
Yeah.
His name is Andre Breton, and he's already been told that he's very excited about the project. Right now, we're working on a very hard deadline, so he won't be able to join before. But as soon as he can, I'll make sure he joins. I've already talked to him about the whole tech stack and how the workflow is done. And yeah, it's just a matter of time. I think it's May 6th or May 7th when he will be able to work, and he will be full time from here. So I would just be coordinating
Right.
and telling him all I've learned from this, and he's the one who will be doing like all the work.
Right. Perfect. That's good. And then just on the last week's issues too, classifying the issues according to the UI UX milestones. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to have that for tomorrow. So when we talk to Marco, he can take a look at that. So it's just a matter of just adding a few extra labels. And then the last issue was create a mind map for the overall Giveth on the overall Giveth Dapp. And I did
Create a what? Sorry.
So one of the things I think we need for Andre and others and the Nepalis is a kind of just a basic map of all the servers that we're running and how, kind of in a diagram format, how this all looks. Right? We talked about that before, sort of like where there's the MLab server running MongoDB, where there's the DigitalOcean servers, where there's the Bridge server, all this kind of stuff, right? And then the Rinkeby and mainnet and so forth. So it can be very clear all the kind of the whole stack of software we're using and where it's being hosted and who's responsible for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there I can. Well, I would need a list from RJ to know exactly all the servers that exist, because I know of some. I think all of them, but maybe not. And then I can work on the diagram since I know how they all connect.
Okay. I talked to RJ about this as well. I wanted to kind of get his sense on this. So we went over, I started a rough diagram. So he just added a little bit to that. So I'll share that with you, George.
Oh, yeah, please. Okay, the servers probably came about. Yeah, I've talked to Kai about all of that, and he knows, but he doesn't have access to all of them. So I think it would be very helpful in that sense. And Bowen, I haven't talked to him about it. So
Yeah, we can share
I'm
it.
surprised. And did Wojtek give you a bunch of servers, access to servers, Michael?
Yeah.
So that might be part of it
Michael,
too.
is that something you can just, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
My request would be if you're receiving documentation, to put that into the Giveth Depp development folder, and I can help you with that offline.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not receiving documentation, but I just went through everything with Wojtek and with RJ through, when Wojtek was here in Montreal. And then I talked to RJ last week about it just to validate Wojtek's diagram. So I kind of did it on paper, and I
Okay.
just have to put that into a document that we can share with everybody, and then people can add or take off what they need. But I think we've got a good diagram. But I don't have access to everything still, so there's still servers that, for example, like RJ has control of the bridge server, and that'll probably continue. And he's again, he reiterated that he's comfortable maintaining that role even going forward. So, but I have access to Netify and some of the other things. Okay, so that's just on last week, and then so I think we're kind of gearing up to get more resources, which I think is really what we need a lot of, and then sort of doing deep dive into the UI as a separate sprint. Okay, so George, I guess we're kind of on your side. You're pretty backlogged, I guess, right? We can't hear you, George.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I've been pretty backed up. The one that has been taking most of my time is the error on milestone editing, on which I found like I've had to get really deep into the server and how it works. And I found some bugs that I think are related to it, but I don't think they're causing exactly that same problem. So I'm gonna deploy those and see if Danny, you can help me, or Chris, to test it again and see if it's still happening. Because I can't replicate the exact error, but I can replicate other errors related to the editing that may be causing it.
Okay, great.
So yeah, I just need to deploy that on the Feather server and then ask you to do the same. Do you still have that same milestone that had the issue?
We have a few examples. So Chris has the one that we can really use as an example. He still needs to edit his. And then I have reward down milestones we can use as examples.
Okay, great. Then as soon as I
Hey,
deploy
Michael,
it, I'll ask you.
cool. I'm here all week. Michael, at this point, are notes being done in ZenHub in the issues themselves?
No, I think what we want to do is just if there happens to be any other, yes, we can do that in the ZenHub itself, but it just be ready in case there's any other action item, like
Yeah, gotcha.
not GitHub related, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So I think, George, I mean, I'm guessing that it's not worth really readjusting the sprint backlog, because I think we had a pretty good order last week. Obviously, once you finish that issue 727 is really the most critical issue we need to address. So I would say that's what our focus on.
Yeah, sure. I agree with that. So I think the only thing left to do would be to check the new issues and see if there's another bug that would
Yeah.
be better to be added to the sprint backlog.
Right. So let's just go to, I did classify the bugs. Let's just go back. So issue 750, this is under new issues. So Lorelei had said that her uploading images doesn't work sometimes in the milestone body. Sometimes I have to redo the image 3 or 4 times, and now it's just not doing it all. And this is when she clicks the upload button in the action menu above the milestone text field. So,
And then, yeah, the images get squished and warped. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I'll look into that. But because it's a weird bug, I don't know what could be causing it.
Let
Maybe the
me
size of the
see if
images?
I can. Let's skip Lorelai's for a second. I'll go see if I can get her. She's
Yeah.
in the same room as me. Well, she's listening to a talk, so I'll see if I can get her.
What number
All right,
is
so
this,
let's.
Michael? I don't see it under new issues.
I well, if you I sort the issues in ZenHub by the latest, and it's issue 750.
You broke up too much. I didn't hear that.
Issue 750.
750. Okay.
And well, if she comes and she also put in issue 751. So let's wait, and then and she also put in issue 752. So we can maybe ask her about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on issue 751, that's the same as the one as another one I'm working on, and that's already I already identified the bug, and it's just how to. The sum is being done wrong since it doesn't take into account donations that were sent back, and I just need to do it so that it only shows the sum of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's I'll deploy the bug fix this week too.
Okay. So I'll
Do
just
you know
mention.
what number the related issue is, Jorge?
Yeah, it's around here. It's I think it's on QA. Yeah, 717.
Thank you.
717.
And I have Lorelai now, so the next, I'll go back to hers.
Okay, is she here?
Yeah, she's here now.
Ah, okay, yeah. I just have a question on issue 750, which is uploading image doesn't work sometimes in milestone body. And I just want to know if there's something similar between the images that you've used. Are they maybe bigger size or something like more info that you could give on it?
Not really. I don't really but I feel like don't decide to use them, but they're,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well. I think there's sort of like an echo or something.
I'm gonna put hey. So can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Cool. So I definitely haven't like looked at images, but it does happen almost every time. So I don't know if there's a difference there. And it's that it just like doesn't register the first
Yeah. Is it
time.
always different images?
Yeah, with different images. Yeah.
Okay.
Lorelai, do you think it would be possible to put into the issue the file types and sizes maybe to try to replicate?
Yeah.
Or even just the
Yeah, or
issues
the image
themselves.
itself.
Yeah, the images
Yeah, the
themselves.
image.
Yeah, I mean, I can link the milestone that's a good example of this issue I was having, and then you guys could just probably pull all of those images. They also get squished, obviously. That's another problem.
Yeah, that's another part. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I'll try to replicate it locally to see if it still happens, because it may have something to do with the production environment. So I don't think it's happened to me before, but I'll look into it then. Thank you.
Okay, great. And
Did you want feedback on 752 while you have Lorelai?
yeah, that's exactly. There is a video.
52. Yeah, there is a video.
This one?
Let me
Oh, I see.
check the video.
It's great.
I wish it just played as a regular GIF.
Yeah.
No, I think I
We have
already
like
know what's
really
going
bad
on
internet.
with issue 752.
What is that one again? Can you just remind me?
Yeah, it's line item receives bug when changing
Yeah.
the currency raised.
Yes.
Yeah, just a matter of it not updating when that specific field is changed. It should update also that the value.
Yeah, I also was having like issues with that, with itemizing receipts where I like again and again I was just being told conversion rate.
Being
Are we
told what? Sorry.
still on? I told like a error when proposing the milestone because the conversion rate was incorrect.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the
But I don't know.
Dapp development conversation, and
Yeah, I
that
didn't
I
issue
think I
it
also know
because
what's
I
going
didn't.
on there.
Okay.
But it would be better if you make an issue because that seems like a higher priority than the other ones, since that stops you from making the
Yeah,
milestone.
for
So
sure.
yeah, if you could create a separate issue and then I'll move it to Spring Backlog to check it.
Okay, great. So that's the latest bugs. RJ, I just noticed, has joined the call now. So thanks, RJ, for joining. And just wanted to get an update from you on how it went with the issues around the milestones and wrapping that up, and how long do you think that might still take if you're still working on that?
I think there's one. I did most of them, and there was one that Griff still needed to check if it was a bug still or not. And then there's one that's kind of like a feature request, but that's, I think me and Griff are talk after this to see if I can come up with a solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much it's pretty much all wrapped up then.
Yeah. I think there was 4 bugs or something. So 3 of them are, well, one's waiting, 2 are done, and then the other one we're going to talk about.
Right. And how did it go with the bridge monitor then? Did you end up upgrading the RAM on the server?
No, there was a few problems. It was using the wrong key, basically. Unique key in the database was not. It was using a transaction hash, but that was causing errors because there was multiple events that occurred in the same transaction hash, and so then that's why it was broken. So I just fixed that, and then also there was another error. Like if you tried to sync from scratch, it was too much data now. So I just kind of like paginated it, like only sync 500,000 blocks at a time until you get up to where we need to be.
Okay. But is there any chance that this could happen again, like with the transaction hash problem?
No, it shouldn't. I fixed that. Like I used a different key now.
Cool.
And,
thanks so much, RJ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, super.
And if you want,
yeah, sorry, Griff.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, if you're here right now, we could go over, I think it was Danny's issue. So we could go over that, the feature request /bug.
Yeah, that sounds good. If other people are up to that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here.
I think what it looks like. So this is number. Sorry, trying to find it. I think it's 741. Yeah. So it sounds to me like the gist of it is that the campaign manager needs to be able to archive milestones. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Ideally, it would be the milestone creator could do that, but if it needs to be the campaign manager, that's fine.
Well, the reason why I think it should be the campaign manager is because the campaign manager is the one who should be able to control which proposals are up, and obviously the milestone manager. It would be great if the milestone manager and the campaign manager, if either one could just say, "Hey, this milestone is done. I don't need any more money for it." But it's really important for the campaign manager to be able to say, "Hey, you know what? These are the proposals that I want in my campaign that can raise funds." And right now, maybe the reviewer could cancel the milestone, and that would be one way to do it. But if the milestone is canceled and there's money in it, then the money goes back to the person. If the milestone is canceled, it disappears from the queue. So if the milestone is canceled and there's money in it, the money goes back to the donor, right? And there's just lots of other weird things that happen.
Gotcha.
So the main issue is the campaign manager needs to be able to control what milestones are being fundraised, and if someone random comes in, looks for something to donate, and someone has, "Hey, I'm helping puppies," and they've happened to have raised already $1,000 when they only want, they should be able to stop that like it's over.
Totally. Yeah, and I'm fine with that delineation as a role, as a responsibility of that role.
I guess the second thing is it okay if this is just like basically hidden in the UI and the milestone is still like essentially like if someone donated to the milestone's still active, the contract still accepts donations, but we like just display it as something else in the UI?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So what I'm thinking is we can do both the campaign manager and milestone manager. And so basically like the campaign would have a list, like, so we store the profile on IPFS. And then another thing we can store is basically like an array of, or like basically archived milestones. And if it's archived, then we just display it as either completed or paid, whatever, like how it's described in this issue comment. And then, or if it's, so like, I guess the rule would be if it's canceled, it always gets displayed as canceled. But if it's like archived, then it would have completed if there was, if there's still money to collect, and it would say paid would be the status if there's no money collect. And then the same thing, we could do essentially the same thing with the milestone manager. They just, in IPFS, we could just store is archived or something, and they can archive their own milestone.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then
That sounds perfect.
it would still be displayed, right? Like it'd still be displayed underneath like paid milestones in the UI underneath the campaign.
Yeah, it would be like the same like how any other like completed, like non-canceled milestone is displayed right now. So like in your My Milestones, they would either be in paid or in progress, depending if there was still money to withdraw. And then if you're viewing a campaign, it would just be paid, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's the exact behavior. That sounds great.
Okay. Yeah. Because like the other way to make it like so the contract stop accepting funds, it's like requires a new deployment and things like that, and I'd rather not do that. So as long as this, I just wanted to jump on and just make sure that this was like a workable solution.
So the only question I would have then is, since the contract isn't changed and technically it could still receive funds, if somebody went into that paid milestone and made a donation to it, would that reactivate it and make it collectible again?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it would have to be collectible. But I guess that's interesting. I would just say, like, let's not worry about that right now. Because it's really
my
like,
brain just goes
there's
to
lots, I know there's lots of like cases that can happen that we actually don't handle in the UI already, because it's like, well, you're doing something outside of the UI. I don't know. We can't handle everything right now.
Totally.
So that's kind of like a case I would put into that category where like the only way that's possible is to go around the UI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree completely. Our scope is the UI. The contracts are
Mm-hmm.
wild beasts, man. So anything you can do in the UI, we need to make sure that it can be undone in the UI. But other than that, everything else is just out of scope.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
good.
Then I should be able to implement that this week.
Thank you so much, RJ. And I think that's it. I mean, I wish we had done more thorough testing on everything. I mean, I guess like if we find some really critical, like this one is kind of on the line. But if we find anything more critical than this, like I mean, we'll complete the milestone. But if we find anything more critical than this, I mean, it'd be really awesome if you just throw us a bone if it's a real issue.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay, that's great.
Nice.
So thanks a lot, RJ. I don't think we. I think you could probably sign off if you want. And thanks again for all your help too. And hopefully we can keep chatting as Griff says if there's a major issue that you won't desert us completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll figure it
And
out.
RJ, if you ever want to, play the $60 an hour game and just hack on some of the issues, we still do tag you and probably clutter your GitHub once in a while. You feel free, especially right now. We only have Jorge at 50% right now, so we would be happy to support any work that you want to do.
All right, I'll keep it in mind. I'm trying to get my own thing live this week, but maybe after that.
Nice. Yeah, man. Well, stay focused and good luck, and don't be in any of our channels.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See you guys.
Thanks,
Cool,
RJ.
bye. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, great. So I think that's it then for this week. So tomorrow we'll I guess follow up again. I'm going to try to organize the UI issues, but as Griff says, we're going to sort of focus around the donations and see where we can get to. I'll try to get the Nepalis to join that meeting as well and start to kind of kick off a separate sprint related to the UIs. And hopefully, that becomes the beginning of a bigger picture of looking at revamping the UI.
Yeah, I would definitely tell them, like, hey, the idea is here. Let's get our toes wet and let's play with what we have and improve it for a month or two.
Yeah.
And by then we will know that the common stack is going full force, which is things are looking up really up for it. So, and then we'll have funding to do a total rebuild.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think then that makes the timeline makes a lot of sense. So if there is this retreat in end of May, early June, then hopefully there'll be a bit of knowledge obtained by then, and we can start throwing around some ideas of what that new UI and user experience might feel like, and talk about it within the group at the retreat.
Yep.
Okay, good. Anything else, George, from your side this week?
No, I think that's it too. I don't know if you already sent me the diagram for the servers.
No, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And do you want? I guess Andre can't join a meeting until early May. Eh?
Yeah,
Pretty
after
much.
the deadline.
Okay.
And,
Great.
and
Danny?
And I guess I have one more thing too. If
Yeah, sorry, Griff. Go ahead.
is there any chance that we're going to get developed, played around with, and merged to master anytime, or were we doing one hot fix at a time? That was the plan.
Well, the develop I already merged it, I think, a week ago, and That's all the draft features and some other fixes were there. And from now on, since most of these issues are bugs, I think I'll just upload them as soon as they're done.
Nice.
Hot
Oh, I
fixes
didn't even.
very much.
Somehow I missed that. Develop actually got merged. Okay, that's awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, at least on the Dapp, the Feather server, all the changes there haven't been that many changes, but all the changes there haven't been merged yet, and I'll do that soon because I need to test some fixes that I did.
Nice. Danny, did you have anything?
The change that Bowen got approved at our community meeting last week to change the duration, the wait duration. That's as I recall, that's a multi-sig action. Is there an issue around that or something that needs to be worked and supported?
That would just be, well, the big issue is that RJ just fixed the bridge monitor, so we were going to wait like a week or two to see that the bridge
Yeah.
monitor is actually fixed, and then Bowen can make the multi-sig action. But we also wanted to just leave all the UI, UX, and expectations in the Dapp that are built around the 48 hours. We're just going to leave them the same and under promise, over deliver on the UI. So the only thing that should need to be done is a simple multi-sig transaction. We will see. That would have been a nice thing to ask RJ about, but I'm like 92.5% sure that there is no other issues that will come up.
Awesome. And then since Develop was merged, is there some particular use cases or anything we want to ask people to try to test at this point?
You're muted, George.
Damn it. Yeah, I think the biggest change there was the draft feature. All the others were bug fixes and messages and stuff like that.
So how do we check our drafts?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. The draft right now they're only done one, so it's only one draft, and so you don't lose your progress when something like an error happens or stuff. So it is automatically saved, and it is deleted when you when you create the milestone DAG or campaign. So right now it isn't being saved on any database. It's all on the local browser, but we can extend that feature.
Okay, so perfect. So it's kind of a misnomer because you can't actually save the draft. What it's doing is saving your work in process, but don't close the window.
You can close the window, and you can open it. If you open it again, the draft is loaded.
Okay.
So if you close it, you delete it. But as soon as you create it, the draft is deleted. So it's only like one draft per resource.
I have something I want to say about the save drafts feature, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
So I noticed it. I was like so excited. Oh my god, we have this button, and then I'm like, wait, where do I access my saved drafts? And I found nowhere. But then I finally realized that just when you go to propose a milestone again in that campaign, it auto populates with your saved draft. And I realized that was like a sticking point for me because I was working on 2 different milestones in the same campaign at the same time, and that means that you only have space for one draft to be saved. And also, it would just be nice if there was some sort of like draft portal, some place to look at the drafts besides, just going back into that campaign and clicking propose milestone.
God, you give users an inch and they just want a mile.
That's a good extension of the feature, and we could work on it. Right now, it's only done on the local browser, so it would be harder to be able to save them, store them, and load them. But we can extend that so that it can also be saved on the Feather server. But that would take a considerable amount of work.
Right now. But yeah, good, ideas for the future.
Yeah, well, you can add it as a GitHub issue, and then we prioritize it and such, and then like it can be done. It's not that hard, but it does take a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
we
right now, I'm
prioritize.
focused on the bug fixes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks everybody. So then, George, are you going to join that meeting tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, super. And Danny, just so you know, again, it's tomorrow at 10 if you're interested in that UI stuff. It's very preliminary though. It's not critical. I just set it up today because I wanted to catch Marco to kind of bring him in the loop, but it's so it's very preliminary. So if you can't make it, it's not a big deal this week. We'll
Can you
set up.
just send me a link to wherever to meet when in a Riot
I'll-
chat or something?
Yeah, I'm going to send an invite to everybody.
Okay. Griffin, anybody else you wanted in that meeting we have at 10 tonight besides Bowen? Because I just kind of looped him in and said the three of us. But should I put it into one of the groups?
I mean, I think it would just be if I guess if someone from the Doge car, maybe are you in the art car group?
Is that on Telegram?
Yeah.
No. I'm only in the
That's-
decentral organizing chat.
Okay, let me see. I'll add you to this. Add you to this. I don't think that there's any need for anyone else to come, but this would be the only group that I would consider adding people to. But
Okay.
it's yeah, I mean, mainly because we're gonna circle our wagons around the art car as the gift to the playa, and I think we're gonna call the thing Doge Central. So I'll make a little note
Okay.
in there, and you can add the links and stuff.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.